We got to go on the record and then we can talk about it. Or should we try to reach him now, do you think, first, before we go on the record?
I think you should try to reach him now. I think he's available. You just text him.
Okay. Yeah.
Just meeting for a few minutes.
Take 5 minutes
Okay.
or whatever you need.
So call him. Okay. I'm going to call him then. I had a question and some issues, and it relates to the budget vote. So, in case there was an issue, problem, but I was hoping to be able to be resolved. So the manager is saying she'd rather we go ahead and call him now because he was in a meeting when I called, and when he got out, I was showering. So. But where is my phone? You know what? Let's call the meeting, and then we can do. No, I have it in here. It's just stuck down in here. We can just then recess it really quickly so that we're at least that far in, because otherwise people may be watching and wondering. Okay. All right. Okay, we will call the meeting to order. It is 6 p.m., September 25th. If Mrs. Brown would please call the roll.
Mayor Allison Dennington.
Here.
Vice Mayor Don Barlow.
Here.
Commissioner Robert Baldwin.
Here.
Commissioner Anna Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Reed.
Here.
Town Manager Elizabeth Mascaro.
Here.
Fire Chief Gavin Brown.
Here.
Town Clerk Amber Brown is also present.
Okay, we'll stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, so we have two special meetings today. We're here for the second reading of the budget. There's something that did come up today. I reached out to the town attorney, was not able to reach him. He was at another meeting. By the time he called me back, it was right before the meeting or getting ready. He's not here. So we went ahead and called the meeting to go ahead and have it start. We're going to take a short recess because the manager said she would prefer for me to go ahead and call him right now before we discuss the budget. So we've called everybody in. We've started the meeting. We're going to take a short recess so that I can reach out to the town attorney to hopefully get these questions or issues resolved. Okay, so we'll take a short recess and be back in a minute. Recessed. All right. Okay, we're going to go back on the record. We'll call the roll again. Mrs. Brown?
Mayor Allison Dennington.
Here?
Vice Mayor Don Barlow. Here. Commissioner Anna Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Robert Baldwin.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Reed.
Here.
Town Manager Elizabeth Mascaro.
Here.
Fire Chief Gavin Brown.
Here.
Town Clerk Amber Brown is also present.
Okay, so we went off the record for a minute. I tried to reach the town attorney. He had a short 10-minute window, which is when I was getting ready, but so he's not available. He's in another meeting. So I'll get to the issues or questions and talk about it that I had. We received an email today from an employee requesting severance, payment of severance. We would have to call a special meeting to approve that. We don't have that in our budget. That's one of the questions I had. How would we go about doing that? But the other questions that I have is some clarification and understanding I would like from Mrs. Mascaro, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't. So when we eliminated we consolidated two positions, which were finance clerk and building clerk, correct? Consolidated those into basically one position.
Right, we just eliminated.
We eliminated the finance.
Eliminated the finance. We kept the building clerk. So that was why. So when we originally talked about this, and I'm glad that you came over on my side in order to be able to fund the fire department, which was what. I always had hoped it would be sort of a consolidation. Which, I mean, it's fine. I'm not trying to go back on it, but the reason why was because. Well, one, if we ever did get to a spot where we were hiring a contract building official, I don't believe that having a building clerk, I mean, it could be needed or might not, depending, partially because that's part of what they do and what we contract for, and we pass those costs on. So they charge you by the hour. We pass those costs on. And that is what we are doing tonight. One of these two special meetings is to hire a building official through a contract. So we are going to be left with a situation where we have an employee building clerk that we may or may not need. Whereas if we had consolidated the two positions just into a sort of general clerk position who could be a finance clerk as well as provide sort of, secretarial administrative assistance to kind of any of the departments as well as the front office person, I believe they do that as well, it would be a better position. Now, when we did this, it was basically your option to choose which one you eliminated or who or what. But I had no preference on who, so.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So it seems to me like in the budget, that position still has to be in a department.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a different department that it belongs in. Maybe it belongs in admin or instead of building and instead of finance. That's something we can fix. Because
Yeah.
you can have a person with split duties. I mean, I do this for this group here, and I do this for this group over here.
Yeah.
So we can
Well, I
figure
know,
that
but
out.
I do think it's relevant even to the issue of this issue that we don't have a special meeting called for, but we may, or it may come up. But, I'm sure it's a timely, you've already given one person notice, but it may be, and I believe the reason why at the time was because you felt that there had to be a building clerk. If you have it goes under building. But if we hire a company, we don't have to have one. You have then more options in terms of who to keep and why and how to utilize them if you don't call it a building clerk where it's only building.
So, but can I?
Yes, yeah.
So first of all, and to answer your first question, it's not, the severance, if you choose to do that, would not be paid out of the upcoming budget because her position is being eliminated in this fiscal year. So it would come out of the current budget. Secondly, the building department's position requires much more knowledge than the finance position does. The building clerk has also done accounts payable and payroll for other companies, so she could easily slide into that position if that's everyone in town hall has to wear multiple hats because we just don't have the staffing. And so if for some reason, we've discussed this, we don't know what this new building private provider is going to require. They may require somebody here, they may not. Under the new laws, they may take it all. So we won't know that until you talk to them and they discuss how that's going to work. But there's absolutely that possibility that if she's not utilized for that reason any longer, then she would take over other duties.
And you would shift the position name, not to building clerk, but just to some
Right,
other-
just like, they'd just be admins, you know, we'd have 2 admins and a deputy town clerk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like that would be cleaner if we just did that way now, but, I mean, because otherwise, I do believe in our budget, we wind up having a building clerk position that it would require, I believe, like some sort of amendment later to amend our budget, because we'd be taking it from one department that is a statutorily segregated funding department and putting it in a different. It would be cleaner, I think, you know, to change it now if that were possible, but.
You can change it after the fact, honestly, because we do want to be in compliance with state statute by
Yeah.
voting on this. But let me just say that you can split in our payroll system. We can pay someone out of 2 different departments. We can pay, you know, let's say she's only 1 day a week in a building capacity. So that one, you know, really 8 hours could be taken from building, and the other, you know, 32 hours is paid for out of finance.
Does that require, because of the way, there is a statute for anybody that's paying attention that does sort of segregate building departments, because you have to account for the money,
Yes.
and it has to stay within. And there's bills, I believe, they're being talked about, where if you have any funds left over from your building department, you're required to put it into specific uses.
Yes.
So we run a risk then of, by having it in the building department, but then not use, you know, having some change. You know, we hire one of these companies, they use an electronic process, they do all of it, they don't need a clerk, and all of the bills pass through to the permits themselves, so it's actually, in a way, a good system, but because we have that in there and we didn't move it, we have extra money that we're gonna have to put over into stormwater. I think that's where they have it, which is great. However, we may not want to be pigeonholed that way. Whereas if we moved it now, does that make sense? Those are my concerns. I know this seems picky, but to me, it feels like it would be cleaner, but.
You are able to, the building department is able to accumulate funds for, I think, maybe 3 years. It has to do with building, it has to stay in building, it has to, you know, whether they buy a truck.
Not if one of these statutes that they are running passes, which is that all your leftover funds at the end of each fiscal year have to be in building department. It has to do with a couple cities where they felt like they were building too much in the building department and then utilizing it, so they were saying, no, you're going to have to, but the way they have it is it's going to apply to everyone. But.
Well, and the issue is going to be, too, I don't know that we're going to have excess funds, because the cost of hiring the private provider, you may find, uses all the money that we've set aside for both positions. I mean, it's really going to depend upon how many days you have the building official here, how many days are an inspector, if we're going to sub out the permitting, what's that cost? I mean, these are all questions that you as a commission are going to need to ask these people when they come in, because that's not how that was structured originally. So.
Well, but I think when you use the private provider, like the way, for the most part, most of what they're doing is when there's an actual permit, right? So there's a permit, the fee goes towards that. If they require extra time, they're charged extra fees. It all sort of passes through. The only time when maybe we wouldn't be able to pass it through to somebody is we specifically, the commission itself or the manager, someone else, wanted to consult with the building official, because that's not tied to a permit, where that is sort of additional consulting where we'd be limiting it by the hour or whatnot.
Their fee, so the permit fee is a one-time fee. It is not going to cover the cost of someone coming in here 3 or 4 days a week to do inspections. It won't cover that cost. They are going to bill us additional costs for them to come in, whether it's the inspector or whether it's the building official.
Well, yes, but ideally, you assume that you've tied your fee structure, what you actually do charge, to what it generally does cost. If for whatever reason you realize your fees are way low because, it takes them longer, then you adjust your fee structure. And we probably do need to make sure we look at that, like, quickly, but.
So if we have new house builds we have, I think, 4 new house builds. So they may pay, I don't know, let's say $8,000, and I think that's high, for a permit, for all the subs. So that building may take over a year, and with all the different inspections that are required. That money, I don't think, is going to cover the cost of, framing and foundation and electrical and plumbing and roof
Inspection.
and, right, all
Well,
of that, right. And so,
Yeah, because sometimes they're not ready for an inspection or things get changed, and we maybe don't necessarily charge them extra because before, when we had an employee, they were here a 40-hour week. Whereas we do have a provision, I believe, where if they, if they're not ready or they get there, you have a certain amount of time, but if they're late, it cancels it, and then if they have to come re-inspect, you can get recharged. We may not
Right.
always follow that, but we would, I do believe, if we have a contract, because we're paying those, yes.
now is not the time to change
Yeah.
the structure of that fund.
Okay, so you did answer my question, though, but it's basically the finance clerk position was eliminated, the building clerk position remains. I was wondering if it was a consolidation into a clerk that wasn't in building, but it is still in building.
It is still in building, however, everyone knows that they're at-will employees that, as we need them to take on other tasks, if that's what we ask of you, then you can choose to do it, or you can choose to leave.
Okay.
So that would be the choice, knowing that those positions consolidate, especially if we no longer need someone in a permit capacity, or we only need it 1 day a week, or whatever it is.
Okay, two more questions. And when you were deciding, I think you kind of mentioned it, but when you were sort of deciding whether it was consolidation to a general clerk, or no, we need to keep just the building clerk, but you took into consideration that you essentially kept the person with whom you felt that was the most versatile and experienced when faced with that difficult choice, I'm sure, but.
Right, and that was the person who's most knowledgeable about
Okay.
permitting. That's not something that you can just
Yeah.
learn on the fly.
But are they equally knowledgeable about finance if, for whatever reason, shortly soon hereafter, we were to determine we didn't need a building clerk, but we wanted to have a general clerk? They
Yes,
would easily be able to fit in that position as well as the current finance clerk?
Right, to do accounts payable, you're doing
Okay.
accounts
Said they had done
payable.
that
Okay.
with other companies,
Yeah.
right?
So
you
that,
said.
okay, so those were my two questions, and that, I guess, does resolve it.
We need to do public.
Wasn't one of the reasons also because of the way the salaries are paid, and we took that into consideration because we were trying to
Yeah.
help the fund, and so that was one of the reasons that we left the building, because that wouldn't have affected the bottom line that we were trying to help.
No,
thought
I
that
don't
was
think so. And
part of
actually,
it.
that
Wasn't that
does remind me
something?
of my other question, but how much is what were the building clerk position, was it, was it more expensive or the same? Was there a difference?
I think they're pretty similar. Hang on, I'll tell you in a minute. So,
And when you add up the sort of number in terms of all of the numbers, if you're thinking of not just the base salary, but the salary, the taxes, just all of it, when you're looking at the two
right,
positions.
so that, right, the permit tech on an aggregate was less than the finance clerk. The salary was fairly similar, but the expenses were different.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the position we eliminated in total actually ended up being a bit more that we were able to put towards fire too?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions. If we were to do a severance, which I am, I would say opposed to it, but,
We're not having that meeting right
no,
now.
but where would that money come from, and what would that affect the carryover? Because I believe, aren't we accounting for some carryover into the new year in certain ways? And do you know how much that was, just so we could get an idea of because we're going to be voting on this budget for the fiscal year 2026, but it includes amounts that we have sort of estimated as carryover into areas, and we're still taking from reserves. So if we're carrying over even less, that means more carry into reserves. I'm just kind of getting an idea of what this severance amount, as requested, would cost us to the carryover into the next budget year.
First of all, we've never eliminated a position since I've been here. And so we've never had
Added,
to pay
yeah.
severance. We've never had
Added,
anyone
yeah.
ask for severance. So that would be at the discretion of the commission on what you feel would be, if you feel, A, that you should, and if you do feel that way, what would that look like? I
But
don't
the
know.
request was for 6 weeks, so I guess that would be 6 weeks at their pay scale. Do you know what 6 weeks would be?
I read the email to say that's the maximum that
Yeah.
you're allowed to give. I didn't
Okay.
know that I didn't see that there was a certain amount
Oh.
requested.
Yeah, I
Just that
did.
Ryan said by law, you can only give 6 weeks.
Okay.
So that doesn't.
Right.
Okay.
So, that would be
Okay,
at your discretion.
okay, all right.
And
Well, we can go ahead. Okay, now, for the procedural, I do have this statement in front of me, and we need to go to public comment. There's 2 resolutions, so I do believe we need to have public comment on both resolutions. So I will read it, then we will call for public comment, correct?
We have to do
We do
general?
public
You need public comment, not on the agenda first.
Yeah.
when we have that for even special budget meetings. I didn't know that we did, but,
Every meeting has regular public comment for non-agenda items, and then we'll open it up for a public hearing to listen to
oh, okay. I
the
got it.
public, and then we'll go into new business for each resolution.
Okay, because we have to use the public hearing denominator. Okay. All right, at this time, and appreciate your patience, we'll open it up for public comment, general public comment of anything that's not on the agenda. Seeing none, we will close general public comment. Okay, we will open the public hearing portion of the agenda, which is new business, item A resolution of the town of,
Sorry,
Yes.
don't mean to cut you off. So it's, public hearing is not under new business.
oh, sorry.
It's just the public hearing for the budget.
Yes,
No
okay.
resolution associated with it.
Okay. This is, so how would you, because I'm just reading from what you have typed out for me.
So public hearing is 5A.
Okay.
And it says public hearing of the town's fiscal year 2025-2026, which is called fiscal year 26 millage rate and annual budget.
Okay. Public hearing 5A, a public hearing of the town's fiscal year 2025, 2026 millage rate and annual budget. Now we will get to new business, item A.
So see if there's any comment about
Okay.
anything in general, and then close the hearing if. there
Okay,
are.
is there any public comment about anything in general as to the public hearing on the budget? Seeing none, we will close that public comment. Now we will go to new business. Yes, thank you.
And so new business is now the sheets that are highlighted
Yes,
in
yeah.
front. Yep.
So new business, item A, a resolution of the town of Melbourne Beach, Brevard County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025, 2026, providing for an effective date. If I could have a commissioner read the next and make a motion?
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-14, setting the final operating millage rate for fiscal year 2025-2026 at 4.6 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 4.2574 by 8.05%, and setting the final debt service millage rate for fiscal year 2025-2026 at .0910 mils.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We will go to public comment, but I forgot to ask if any commissioners did have any questions about the budget, and I'm seeing this .0910 mils number for the first time. Was that in the prior? Was that in the prior documentation?
Yes.
It was? Okay. No, but before, I don't remember seeing the .0991 number, so, yeah.
I can pull up the packet from last meeting. It
Yeah,
was in
can
the
you?
resolution.
Yeah. You can just tell me what page it was.
It's on page 3, or page 3, but page 6 of the packet.
Of the old one? Okay.
See the millage proceeds calculations?
And that's at the 4.6 though, right? Okay, all right. Okay, is there any public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment and call the vote. All in favor?
Oh, roll
Roll
call.
call.
Yes, well, roll call.
Mayor Allison Dennington,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Don Barlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Robert Baldwin,
Aye.
Commissioner Anna Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Tim Reed.
Nay.
All right. That motion carries 4-1. We will move to the next new business item, item B, a resolution of the Town of Melbourne Beach, Brevard County, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 and providing for an effective date.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-15, setting forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 in the amount of $5,293,520.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment.
Mayor Allison Dennington,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Don Barlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Robert Baldwin,
Aye.
Commissioner Anna Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Tim Reed.
Nay.
Okay, that motion carries 4-1. Before we have a motion to adjourn, I want to thank the commission and all of the staff for what has been probably a difficult last 6 months, really, even longer, as we've talked about the budget. I want to thank my fellow commissioners for the sacrifices and the working together on various issues, coming together and giving up some things, and so that we could get here. It was very hard for me, but at the end of the day, there were a lot of compromises that were made that got me here, and other people that made compromises, which I want to thank you for and appreciate. And
Thank you for saying that.
yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, I'm glad that we were able to get the fire department more than what they had before, but substantially less than the big ask. And I look forward to the next year to be able to analyze the data and have more discussions with the public. So, and I thank you. All right, we could have a motion to adjourn, and then we'll
Motion
start
to
the
adjourn.
next.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So that carries 5-0. We're adjourned. We will start the next meeting soon. Budget passed.